Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be me doing a talk through on some of the pros and cons of day trading full time. So if y'all see me looking down, I am taking a look at my notes because I did want to make sure I didn't miss any points at all. So let's just go ahead and hop right into it. Okay, so first things first, there is an obvious glare in my glasses. We're just going to ignore that for right now. Hopefully y'all aren't too bothered by that. But yeah, we're just going to hop straight into the video. I do want to go ahead and start off with the cons. That way we can end the video on a positive note, obviously focusing on the pros. So first con that I do want to mention is timing. I will say day trading, investing, just learning the stock market period, because there is so much to know and it is nuanced, it does take time. I've told y'all before, it took me 19 months before I became like consistently profitable, and for others it may be 6 months. Some people it may take 24 months. It just really depends on your style and your learning. But one of the things I can say that's super beneficial is that once you master certain concepts, you know them for life, right? Like you're never going to have to wonder about the option Greeks, for example, if you know those. Or for example, price action. If you can read that really well, that skill and that concept is something that you'll never have to relearn. So that kind of is a pro in a sense. But again, the con being the fact that timing is going to be the biggest hurdle. Now, I'm not saying that your journey will be 100% like mine, because maybe it won't take you 19 months. Maybe you can cut that time in half and that would be awesome. That's amazing. But for me, that's how long it took. So I know that can be really strenuous on a lot of new traders, because you may spend a lot of late nights studying like I did, or you may just be reading the charts consistently, reading articles and books, just learning the market. That in totality, again, is going to be something that you have to be dedicated to. And if it's not really something you like, you'll notice that a lot of new traders will quit within the first 6 months just because they see the time as a barrier of entry. Okay, so the second con is that honestly, it takes money to make money. I would love to get up here and say that you can start trading and investing with $0, but the reality of that is that that's not true. And then also the fact that a lot of people like to say that you can flip $100 into $100,000. Things like that are just unrealistic expectations in a short amount of time. So I would always say make sure you have at least a good amount of upfront capital to get started. Me personally, I started with $1,500. Y'all have heard me talk about my first trade was Tesla and how I took a major L. But again, it just takes time to learn. But again, going back to the point is that if you don't have enough money to start, trying to like trade penny stocks, those kind of things will just leave you disappointed. So to be very honest, I will say that you should have at least $2,500 to start. If you can, start in that range, that's going to be to your benefit, because at least you can take more trades if you're doing options. And of course, if you're just wanting to invest by buying whole shares, you can actually buy quality companies and quality ETFs with at least $2,500, right? So that in itself is going to be something to definitely keep in mind. Okay, y'all. So the third con is that when you take L's, nobody really can prepare you for that psychology that happens in your mind when you see that happening. When you see like money just depleted in your account, people can tell you like to develop thick skin about it, but honestly, there's nothing that'll make you feel good about it in that moment, especially when you take your first L. So it is one that can be very discouraging. So your mindset has to be set. I always tell people, especially new traders, whatever you're not willing to lose, do not put that money up. Okay, like if you are not willing to lose $1,000 and risking that on a contract, do not put that money up, because there's no amount of psychology you can have when you first start that'll make you be like, oh, I'm confident to take this L, if you're really not, right? You're gonna feel it. We try to detach emotions from trading, but oftentimes it's not the easiest thing to do. So with that being said, my whole point of it is that the first con is going to be that first L. To be honest, it's really not fun. Nobody is sitting up here like, yay, I lost some money. But it happens, right? It's the stock market. You're going to have highs, you're going to have lows. There's definitely going to be ebbs and flows of it. But again, just make sure you're fully prepared at least as much as possible. So when you do take an L, it doesn't hit home so hard. Again, only put up what you're willing to risk and be comfortable with. And what I also like to tell new traders is pretend you already lost that money the moment you put it up. Now that's a negative mindset, but I say only do that in the beginning. Like your very first couple of trades, have full awareness that if you lose $250, let's say you're buying one contract. If you lose $250, you should have it in your mind that I already am okay with that L. I'm already okay, right? Now, if you obviously make money, it's going to make you feel good about the trade. But if you're still in the beginning process and you're learning, take your time with being patient and understand that it's okay to take an L, but be comfortable with that L you're going to take as far as your financial loss. Okay, so that's one of the cons. All right, y'all. So the last con I'm going to mention kind of ties in with the first one, but it's the simple fact that there are so many different concepts, y'all. There is a lot to learn within trading and investing. Like, there is a plethora of things that you would have to learn as far as like conceptually understanding this part and that part, and again, understanding all the facets and nuances of the market. It's going to take time, but more than anything, if you're like me, I'm one of those people who, once I learn a little bit, I want to learn a lot. Like, I want to not just stay surface level with it. I want to elevate and learn as much as possible. So I go all in with my learning, and obviously that means that you take a lot of time to spend learning those concepts. And because there's so many, and especially with options, obviously if you're trading like forex or something, you don't have to worry about the contracts, as far as like the Greeks and stuff. You don't worry about that within forex. But when you're trading option contracts, you have to worry about time sensitivity, time decay, understanding every single facet as far as like the delta and the theta. That kind of stuff is very, very particular to every single unique contract you decide to purchase, or whatever one you look at. Again, you're going to have to focus on in the money, at the money, out the money, whatever you trade. These are always going to be constant concepts to keep in mind, as you just continue to grow. So definitely keep that in the forefront as well. Okay, so now focusing on the pros. Obviously, the first pro is the fact that you're going to make money, right? Like that's just, it kind of goes without saying. The stock market is going to provide you a good return on investment if you're choosing to utilize it in the right way. You're just gonna make some money. Like, some people make hundreds, some people make thousands, some people make millions. It really just depends, right? So that's a pro in the sense that once you learn how to trade and, like I said, become consistently profitable, you'll always be able to kind of like dictate your income, versus like obviously if you work a regular job, a regular 9 to 5, they give you a cap on what your salary is for that year, and you pretty much have to just be satisfied with that. With the stock market, it's endless. You have no limits, no cap on what you choose to make each and every day. So you can wake up and make $1,000 tomorrow, wake up and make 2,500 the next day, wake up and make 25,000 the next day. It really just depends on what you have, and how you game plan to grow your money over time. So obviously that's the first major pro in this, is that you're going to have a good return on investment if you're trading the right way. Okay, so the next pro is that you essentially have a skill that is going to be something you can carry and take with you for life, right? Once you know the market, once you have learned how to trade, there is no going back on it. Like, you know that skill is basically like graduating and having a degree. Nobody can really take your intellectual property because it's yours, right? It belongs to you. So that's another pro in my particular way of looking at it, simply because you can also teach others, which is something I love to do, obviously mentoring. But that's not what this video is about. It's just me telling y'all that once you have that skill set, you'll never not have it. You'll always have it, take it with you for the rest of your life. So the good aspect about this is that once you do like master certain concepts, we talk about that all the time, money mastery, understanding those things, you do get a chance to, one, be able to apply new knowledge, and two, as you continue to grow your knowledge, again, once you share it with others, it does become very empowering. I will say that, to help other people make money, to help other people quit their 9 to 5s. But yeah, those kind of things do make you feel good because you're helping others grow. Now, I'm not saying you have to take that knowledge and share it, but it is a good idea to do so, especially if you wanted to build generational wealth. It's a concept that you can pass down to your children. So, okay, y'all. So another pro is going to be time freedom. Now, clearly, as I mentioned before, if you work a 9 to 5, you're kind of stuck to a specific schedule. Even if you work from home, you may have to attend meetings, you may have to go to in-person events, whatever it may be. Like, it just means that you're confined to their specific schedule. You also have to put in PTO when when you decide that you want to take time off, and that has to be approved by someone. But the stock market doesn't play those kind of games, right? You can obviously decide to trade one day and take a day off. You can trade for 2 weeks straight and then take a month off. It's your choice. You have the freedom to do what you want. And then on top of that, you can come and go as you please as well. You don't have to like day trade. A lot of people think that you have to day trade. You don't. You can do swing trades and leaps, whatever you choose to do, but it allows you to be free. So if you want to trade from your phone, you can definitely do that. If you want to walk away from the computer and you already have like your stop loss, trail stop set, that money is going to go in either direction no matter what anyway. So you get an opportunity to do what you want and fulfill your day with the activities you actually enjoy doing. And obviously, again, you're confined with a job. You don't get that freedom to do that. So clearly, it goes without saying that you get the opportunity to just be free and do what you want to do, make your own schedule, move how you want to move, and just utilize your time the best way you see fit. So whether that's spending more time with family, friends, hanging out, researching, do whatever you like to do, whatever your passion is, you just open up the door to be able to do it at the highest level, to be honest. Okay, so the last pro that I'm going to mention in this video is the simple fact that your decision making gets better and better as you continue to trade. Now, I've already kind of like made like a video, I even posted it on Instagram, talking about how you trade is usually the personality trait that you have. So if you're one that's impulsive, you may make impulsive moves in the market. But if you're one who's more reserved, you may make passive moves in the market. But I will say trading will teach you a lot about yourself. So once you know that, you can make better decisions, and obviously it does help your decision making abilities. So let me be more specific when I say this. For example, if you're one who spends money really, really quickly, like whenever you get some money, you just spend it up really quickly, you may trade the same way as well. So it'll have you kind of like take a moment to step back and think about your decisions, like, wait a minute, I just blew through that money. Same thing may happen if you choose to invest in trades. You may just take 100 trades, a million trades, just because that's what you do typically. Now, if you're someone who never likes to spend money and you're very frugal, you may do the same thing within the stock market. So it just brings about that awareness that you may or may be one to be impulsive, or you may be one who's a little passive. Either or, it just kind of reveals your personality trait. But my whole thing in saying that is that it gives you the awareness. So then when you start to make future decisions, you go back to kind of understanding like, hey, I made a decision based upon what I was feeling or thinking in that moment before. And you can decide if that's going to make sense moving forward. So my whole point in saying that is that the stock market, when you trade and invest and you're like very, very particular, it ends up allowing you to be very, very aware of your own behaviors just in general, whatever you do in everyday life. So for me, that's a pro because it allowed me to kind of take a step back and evaluate like, hey, my personality trait is XYZ. So you get a chance to see that, just displayed in real time. Okay, y'all, so I feel like I provided a good little list of the pros and cons. Obviously, I'm one to teach people how to trade and invest. So if you want to learn more and kind of get into the community, y'all already know I have everything linked down below. But essentially, that's going to do it for this video. So y'all feel free to let me know if you have any questions or comments. Aside from that, I thank y'all so much for watching. And of course, I'll see y'all in my next one.